Okay, let's dive right in. Have you ever really stopped to think about what makes you, well, you? I mean, what's the actual biological recipe that makes every single one of us completely unique? That's what we're going to unpack today, the science behind your personal genetic code. It's that classic family puzzle, right? You look in the mirror and maybe you see your mom's eyes staring back at you, but you've definitely got your dad's smile. And how is it that you and your siblings can come from the exact same parents but be so different? Well, how does all that work? The answer is a pretty amazing story, and it all starts deep, deep inside yourselves. So, to really figure this out, we have to introduce you to the microscopic construction crew that's working inside our bodies 24/7. They're called proteins. Just imagine them as these tiny, super specialized workers, and each one has a very specific job to do. And when you put them all together, they literally build and operate, well, everything about you. And here's the thing you gotta grasp. It's a simple idea, but it's so powerful. What a protein does, its job, is all about its shape. The physical structure is everything. Think about it like a key. A key's shape determines exactly which lock it can open, right? It's the same for proteins. If the shape is right, it fits, it does its job. If the shape is just a little bit different, it'll do a totally different job, or maybe nothing at all. So you can see how this chain reaction plays out. It all kicks off with the protein's unique shape. That shape then dictates how it can connect and interact with all the other proteins around it. And that interaction is what defines its specific job, its function. You get enough of these proteins doing their thing, and boom, that's when you see the final observable trait. We're talking about things like your hair color, your height, all of it. Okay, so if proteins are the workers on the job site, that leads to a pretty obvious question, right? Where are they getting their orders from? Who's the foreman handing out the blueprints? Well, that's exactly where our genes come into the picture. So what is a gene? You can think of it as a single page in a giant instruction manual. For every single kind of protein your body needs to make, there's one specific gene that tells the cell exactly how to build it. It spells out what the shape should be, which, as we just learned, determines what job it's going to do. And this, right here, is the absolute key to the whole thing. The reason we're all different, the reason we have different traits, is because we all have slightly different versions of those instructions, different versions of our genes. So, a slightly different instruction leads to a slightly differently shaped protein. And what did we say about shape? A different shape means a different job gets done. See how it all connects? All right, now here is a super important piece of this puzzle. For every single one of your traits, you don't just have one set of instructions, you actually have two copies. And this is where things get really interesting. Let's say the two copies of the instructions you get, one from each parent, are exactly the same. Scientists have a fancy word for this. They call it homozygous. In that case, your cells just make one type of protein. Pretty straightforward. But what if the two instruction manuals are different? That's called heterozygous. Now your cells are busy making two different versions of that protein at the same time. And that can lead to some really cool, complex, and totally unique results. Okay, let's recap. We have our workers, the proteins, and we have their instruction manuals, the genes. So what's the last piece? It's the final act, really. How did you get your specific set of instructions? Well, it's all thanks to something we can call the Great Family Shuffle. So here's exactly how that shuffle works. Remember, each of your parents has two copies of every gene, right? Well, when they have a child, each of them only passes on one of their two copies. And this is the most important part. Which copy they pass on is totally random. It's like a coin flip for every single gene. So what you get is a totally new, one-of-a-kind combination. One random copy from your mom and one random copy from your dad. And that right there, that's the answer to our question from the very beginning. This random genetic shuffle is exactly why you and your siblings can be so different. Even though you have the same parents, the specific combination of genes you got is almost guaranteed to be different from the combo they got. Every single child is like a brand new roll of the genetic dice, and a different roll means a different mix of proteins, which means, you guessed it, different traits. So there you have it. That's the whole story. It starts with a random shuffle of genes passed down from your parents. Those genes are the blueprints that tell your body how to build a very specific set of proteins, and it's all those proteins doing all their little jobs that create the unique collection of traits that makes you, well, you. When you really think about it, it's pretty mind-blowing, isn't it? The exact genetic combination that created you has never happened before in the history of the world, and it will never happen again. It is the biological blueprint for your individuality. So the only real question left to ask is, what are you going to do with it?